If I had to restart my financial life from scratch, this is exactly what I would do because in 2 days, I am turning 40. And as I've been reflecting on my 30s, I realized that the biggest financial transformation that I've had over the last decade was not about becoming perfect with money. It's not the fact that I went from not knowing what net worth was to significantly building mine in the last 10 years. But instead, the biggest transformation that I think I've had in the last 10 years in my financial life was going from being confused and overwhelmed with money to now feeling financially confident and in control. I did not start adulthood that way or even my early 30s. I avoided my finances. I always felt behind. I made emotional money decisions. And I genuinely had this belief that making more money would magically solve everything. Now, to be fair, yes, making more money helps. Having more resources allows you to have more options. But now that I know what actually matters, I genuinely think that most people can build financial confidence a lot faster than I did. It doesn't have to take a whole decade. So in this video, I want to walk you through the exact reset plan that I would follow if I had to rebuild my finances from scratch starting today. Because if you feel behind financially, I really want you to know this. You don't need to fix everything overnight. You just need a clearer path. So let's jump right in and start with the first thing that I would do. Step 1, stop the financial bleeding. The first thing I would do is stop avoiding my finances. If you avoid your finances, that is how financial bleeding happens. I would simply face reality because I think if you avoid your finances, that alone causes anxiety. And when you have both avoidance and anxiety, those ultimately lead to poor behaviors as well as bad money decisions. I honestly think that a lot of financial stress comes less from the numbers and more from not knowing the numbers. So if I had to start over financially, the first thing I would do is get brutally aware of what is happening. That includes things like knowing exactly how much money is coming in every month, how much money is going out every month. As part of that, you want to know what debts you have, who you owe and how much, what subscriptions you're paying on a monthly basis, any recurring charges. You'll also want to understand what accounts you have, bank accounts, investment accounts. And then you want to take a step back and think about what things am I ignoring? I think you cannot improve your financial situation if you refuse to look at it. That's the part that I consider bleeding. You can't get in control of it until you face it. Now, I know that this part can be uncomfortable for some people, and that's because a lot of people avoid their finances from feelings of shame or embarrassment, feeling overwhelmed, feeling guilty, general feelings that they should be further along by now. Just know that building this awareness of your financial situation is not meant to be punishment. You have to reframe that and look at it more as information. You're not here to shame yourself, make yourself feel guilty. You want information because when you have that information, you have options. You can make choices, you can make changes. Even if you've made a bad decision in the past, I want you to know that being bad with money is not a personality trait. It doesn't define your character. It doesn't define who you are. It's more to do with a lack of knowledge, lack of financial literacy, lack of overall awareness of your financial situation. And most of us were never taught that information or the systems we need to succeed with money. So instead of judging yourself, just get laser focused on gathering information, and that is the first step in stopping the financial bleeding. Step number 2, build stability before you build wealth. This is something I understand so much more deeply now that I'm older, because in my early adult years, I thought that wealth was about making as much money as possible. I thought wealth meant luxury, fancy things. It was a way that you looked, a certain income, a certain lifestyle. But now I view it completely differently. I truly believe that the first form of wealth is stability. And stability is a feeling. It's not something that you buy. So here are some examples of what that looks like. And I'm sure that most of you already do some of these things. Building that first layer of wealth, which is stability, looks like getting current on your bills, not paying bills late anymore, creating a small emergency fund, and then eventually building that up. Living within your means, not overspending anymore. And you're better able to do that once you've done step one, which is build that awareness of your finances and stop the bleeding. Stability is also breaking free of living paycheck to paycheck or month to month. It's starting to build in time where you now have money to cover more than a month, more than 3 months, more than 6 months. So like I mentioned, I think a lot of you are probably doing all of these things. So I want to offer you some encouragement because I think people get discouraged when they don't think they are doing enough. People think,
Well, I only saved a few $100s.
or
I only paid off one credit card. I still have others to pay off.
or
Well, I only have a 1 month cushion.
the thing about building stability is that it compounds. When you can get yourself to do these things day to day, these count as financial wins. As small as they may seem, they help create emotional safety and peace of mind, and that can lead you to making better financial decisions in the long term. So if I was starting over from scratch, I would stop underestimating the power of stability, even with these small steps. Having stability is a foundation that is going to build your confidence around your finances as you continue to build and start doing some of the more intermediate and advanced things. Step number 3, simplify everything. One thing that I would dramatically reduce if I had to restart my finances is I would reduce complexity. Too many accounts, too many subscriptions, too many things I'm paying, too many financial decisions. When you have a lot of financial clutter, that can create avoidance, like we talked about earlier. Financial clutter can create overwhelm. Now, if you have money coming from all sorts of places, a lot of different sources of income, theoretically that's good, but only if it's tracked and organized. Because if everything else is a mess, you have bills scattered everywhere, things not being paid on time, no formal system to organize your money, that takes up a lot of your mental energy. And I don't think people give that enough attention. Now, realistically, as you build wealth, your financial life will tend to get more complex when it comes to the amount of accounts you have, your tax filing situation, your insurance policies, all the assets that you own. It tends to get complicated the more you have. But what I'm talking about here is if you had to reset your financial life, if you're starting from scratch and you wanted to build from here, I would start as simple as possible. When you're trying to reset, you simply want to get a hold of your current situation. And in some cases, people's finances are way more complex than they should be at their wealth level. For example, if you don't have a lot of cash in your bank accounts and you're unable to meet the minimum thresholds and you get charged a fee every month because of that, a monthly maintenance fee, could make sense to consolidate a couple accounts and only keep the ones that you're able to maintain without having to pay a fee. So if it was me and I was trying to reset, I would automate my bills, I would consolidate accounts where it made sense, I would create one clear system for checking my finances. I personally use Monarch Money, but for a very long time I used spreadsheets. I would reduce unnecessary spending categories. I would unsubscribe from things that I don't care about or don't use. If you can get organized with your finances and you can simplify them as much as possible, that will give you the mental space you need to make clearer financial decisions. Step number 4, I would increase my income intentionally. Now, yes, income matters. I wasn't downplaying it at the beginning of the video. I was just being truthful. Your financial life is more than just your income, but income does help. And that's because the decisions that we make in our 20s and 30s, our early adulthood, these decisions can set up our earning power and earning potential for the rest of life. So if I had to rebuild my finances from scratch, I would absolutely focus on increasing my income, but I would probably do it different than I used to. Basically, in my 20s, I thought that working harder automatically meant financial success. If you work harder, you deliver, you over deliver at work, that will equate into a promotion, a new job, a bonus, etc. And while I think you can do that, the problem is a lot of times that can lead to burnout and it doesn't even guarantee that you're going to get more income. So, what I realize now that I'm about to hit 40 is growing your income usually comes from leverage. It requires being strategic and it requires things like building your skills, upskilling, building your relationships, networking, or just naturally, authentically building strong relationships in your career and in your life. Building visibility. If you can negotiate and position yourself well, that goes a long way too. So instead of trying to just randomly hustle nonstop at your job and expect more pay, I would think more intentionally about things like what skills increase my value? What industries pay more? How can I future proof my skills and my career, especially now with tech and AI? How can I make myself more difficult to replace long term? All of a sudden, these soft skills that people thought were not that important at work are becoming more important now that AI is changing things really fast. I would think about what opportunities can create longer term optionality for myself. Now, I don't think everybody has to start a business or a side hustle. I think there is the corporate route where you can build wealth that way and never have to start a business. But the one thing that I've learned in my 30s is nothing is ever promised. I have personally been laid off. So has my husband. So has basically every single one of my closest friends and family members. My sister just got laid off a few months ago. And I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because there literally is no downside to, number one, getting clarity on your financial life, and number two, being intentional about your career, your income, and your earning potential. And one other side note on this, it's kind of related, but I would stop assuming that everyone else has it figured out career-wise. I think a lot of adults are reinventing ourselves in real time. So if you can just give yourself that same grace that you are resetting and rebuilding, then that's going to go a long way for you. Step number 5, heal my relationship with money. This is probably the biggest thing I would have done differently and tried to do earlier in adulthood, but I would work on my mindset while I was fixing my finances. I wouldn't wait till after. I wouldn't assume that I would just improve my financial behaviors and my relationship with money naturally. Like getting more money doesn't automatically make you feel good with money. What you have to understand is that your behaviors with finances are so deeply emotional. They come from years and years of experiences and learnings, and a lot of it happens when you're a child in the home that you grew up in. That's why in adulthood, you can technically make good money and still feel financially insecure and unsafe. You can also have a lot of money and still feel guilty spending it. You can literally increase your income every single year and job hop and keep getting more and more money and still operate from fear. A lot of us, if not all of us, carry these invisible financial stories. Things that were shaped by our upbringing, from society, thoughts and feelings like, I'm behind, I'm bad with money, I'll never catch up, everyone's ahead of me, I'm not successful enough. But your past financial decisions, they do not have to become your identity. If there's one thing I learned in my 30s, it is that financial confidence is not about being perfect with your finances. It's building trust in yourself and trust in your financial knowledge. And if you feel like your financial knowledge is lacking, that's what channels like mine are for. That's what financial education is for. There are resources everywhere, and I think that's a good place to start. But simultaneous to learning about the practical side of money and finances and implementing your learnings into your financial life, you also have to build that trust in yourself. You have to heal your relationship with money for those of you who don't feel like you have a good one. And that is going to help you build wealth in the long term and feel good about it. Step number 6, create systems instead of relying on day-to-day motivation. This changed my life in my 30s. I used to think that financially successful people were just really disciplined with their money. They always made smart decisions. They just simply know the rules around how to save, how to avoid debt, how to pick stocks, how to invest for wealth. But what I've come to see is that financially successful people often just have better systems. Because again, doing well with finances isn't about perfection and always having discipline. It's about consistency. Discipline and consistency are related, but they're a little different. Discipline requires a lot of self-control. Consistency, on the other hand, while having self-control helps, it can be implemented using systems and rules and automations. You can build wealth if you can set up the right systems that help you stay consistent with less time, effort, and energy. Having good systems will reduce friction and will just make things run more smoothly. So if I had to restart financially, I would automate as much as possible. Automate my savings, automate my investing, automate bills being paid, having recurring check-ins for my money. I would have simple routines. Every good financial habit becomes easier when you take yourself out of the equation of having to make a decision. That can lead to decision fatigue. This is where financial confidence actually started building for me. It wasn't from this one big moment, flipped a switch, and all of a sudden I was confident with money. It was from repeatedly proving to myself, I can do this, I can handle this, I can save this money, I can invest this money, I can pay down those bills, I can do this all, not just in 1 week and then revert back to my old habits, but that I can build up this consistency and repeatability over time. Step number 7. This one gets its own bullet point because in my 30s, I ended up doing this, but I wish I had started earlier, and that is to invest. If I could go back and talk to my younger self, I would tell her to stop waiting to feel fully ready before investing. I would also tell her to stop prioritizing other things like going to concerts and buying new shoes, and instead prioritize investing. Now, that doesn't mean you can't enjoy your money and buy those things or those experiences that bring value to your life, but it means also prioritizing investing. It's not putting investing off to later. I personally think people delay investing because they think they need more money to start. They need more knowledge. They need more confidence, more certainty. They need to time it right. But rather than timing it perfectly, the time that you're invested matters so much. Literally, the earlier you start, the more flexibility you create for yourself later. Yes, investing comes with risk, but you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to become an expert in picking stocks. That's what a financial advisor can help with, but that's also what you can do on your own if you DIY and make sure you diversify. As long as you have that stability that I talked about earlier, those things, having an emergency fund, paying off high interest debt, that is stability that you can build on. That gives you the runway to where you can start investing with more confidence and build that wealth starting sooner than later. Like I said, when I think about my 30s, this last decade, I built wealth. I did not know what net worth was, and I've built mine. Honestly, when I think about my 30s, the biggest transformation was not about the numbers, even though my numbers did transform. It was more emotional. I do not feel overwhelmed with money like I used to. I feel like I'm capable of tackling anything that life throws my way. And that all started when I became more intentional with my financial life. I think prioritizing your finances like you're doing now, watching this video, is how you are going to build wealth and build confidence with money and feel financial peace of mind. So if you are on that financial journey, don't forget to subscribe because that is what we talk about on this channel. I hope this was helpful, and until next time, peace out.